Hello, Da Vinci. Welcome back. This is our space science video for today. So it's lesson 2. Can I explain the importance of healthy eating for humans? So keeping healthy, we all need a balanced and nutritious diet to stay healthy and survive. And a balanced diet is made up of a number of different food groups. So here are the food groups. We've got a balanced plate here. Now in green, in our green section, we've got fruit and vegetables. And I've got a couple of different examples here with some tomatoes and carrots, broccoli, bananas, some cherries and cucumber. In the yellow section, we've got grains, cereals and potatoes. Now we usually call those carbohydrates, but that's a really big word. So grains, cereals and potatoes, they're all different types of things that give us our, I'll come to that in a second actually. So we've got bread, we've got some cereal, we've got like rice, we've got pasta and potatoes. We've then got dairy products. So in this section here, we've got cheeses and milk and yogurt. In red, meat, fish, nuts and eggs. So we can see we've got some nuts here, we've got some meat, we've got fish, and then we've got eggs as well. And then fats and sugars, we've got a chocolate bar here and it looks like some crisps there, okay? So why do we need a balanced plate? Well, each one of these things gives us something that our body needs in order to live a balanced diet. So green, you need these to provide you with the vitamins and minerals. So the green types of food give you those vitamins that your body needs to keep it nice and healthy. Yellow, these provide you with your energy. So you can see your bread and your pasta and your potatoes and your rice and your cereal, they all give you lots of energy. You have lots of these and you can go all day without feeling tired. If you have too much of these, then you've got too much energy. You need to do some exercise to burn it off, because these sometimes they can give you lots of energy and it can turn into fat because you're saving your energy. If you've got the blue section says these provide you with calcium and some protein. So your calcium here, that's to help your bones get big and strong. So you might have heard of calcium's in milk. You've got calcium in milk and cheese and yogurt, and they're also used for some type of protein. Now protein gets your muscles big and strong, and you might use your dairy as being one of the main sources of your protein if you do not eat meat, fish, eggs, or nuts or anything like that. So our next one. Apologize, I had to run because my dogs were making noise in the background. So the next category we've got here is our red box here, where you can see it's this picture here, and these are our meat, fish, nuts and eggs, and that was what I was talking about before. Similar to the blue one, these give you protein. Now the protein in these 4 things are a lot higher than the protein that you'd find in dairy, but you still do get some protein in dairy. Now remember, protein was that makes your muscles really big and strong. So you have your meat, your fish and eggs, and they've got lots of protein to make you stronger. Okay. In the orange one, our last one, these are the ones that provide you with essential fats. So this fats and sugars one, you've got your chocolate and your crisps, and you'll see that each one of them is sized differently. And if you imagine this as being your plate, you've got this amount of vegetables on your plate, this amount of energy on your plate in your grain, cereals and potatoes. You've got this amount of dairy on your plate, which is maybe you have a bit of cheese on top of maybe your meal. And then you've got fats and sugars. Now, it could be sugar that's in the food that you're cooking, or it could be a treat to have afterwards, like some chocolate. But it's called fats and sugars. Now, fat is obviously seen as bad usually, but your body does need some fat in order for it to work. So this is, you could have a small bit of chocolate. It's not having a full chocolate bar every single day, like a big one, but it might be having some of it every day just to give your body enough sugars to keep going. And then you can see that you've got around about 1/8 or so of meat on your plate there. Right. So what are the problems with taking food into your space? Talk to your teddy, and pause the video here. Well, some of the problems that you face are we need to eat fresh food. However, after our lesson on astronauts' food, we know that fresh food would not survive in space. The missions are very long, which means they can't have fresh food as it will go off by going moldy. And you can see you've got some fresh fruit and some fresh bread here that's both gone off with mold, which is a type of bacteria developing inside your food. And it means that when it's nice and fresh, it's a good place for the bacteria to go inside, and it makes its own colonies. And you can see that this, you would not want to eat that nectarine there, and I would definitely wouldn't want a slice of toast. That looks disgusting. Now, scientists freeze dry. So let's try that one. Freeze dry. Freeze dry. And they freeze dry food before they take it into space. Now, freeze drying is when they remove the water from frozen food. So they flash freeze it. So it flash freezes it. It means that it freezes it super quickly rather than putting it in the freezer and waiting a long time. It freezes it super quickly, super cold. And then what they do is they use a vacuum and they suck out all the moisture and the water that was left over after they've frozen it. And then whilst it's completely frozen. Then the freeze-dried food lasts a lot longer than other preserved foods. Now, that was one of those words, preserved, and it means it's food that lasts a long time, like maybe those tin cans in our last lesson. And it makes it perfect for space travel because not only is it preserved for long times, it's very light, which means it's great for sending up into space. And it also, because it's flash frozen, the way that they do that, it keeps the taste and the smell and the texture and the nutritional value. And the word nutritional value, huge word, but what it means is it means that it keeps this balanced diet of having all the right minerals and vitamins that we get from our food. It keeps that nutritional value for that food. Now, it's all very complicated and it's very difficult, but this video is fantastic. Only a short video of explaining how does food get delivered into space. So sometimes, especially on the ISS, you can't just keep making food there. And every time new astronauts go up and ones that have been there go home, they need to send up more food each time. Now, they might not be sending up an astronaut each time, which means they need to send a rocket up full of food for those astronauts. Now, this video gives you a better understanding of how difficult it is to get food into space, but also how fantastic the astronauts think fresh food is because they haven't had it in such a long time and it's such a luxury. It's so valued. Now, it also shows you what freeze drying is, and it shows you how they can make a big pot of spaghetti bolognese and they freeze dry it and it gets really, really light so that they can send it up to space. They can send more of it up. Now, could astronauts eat only burgers in space every day? Talk to your Teddy. What do you think? Could they eat burgers in space every single day? Well, no, they couldn't. But why not? Why couldn't you have a burger every day? Well, because having lots of the same food is a little unhealthy and it's not a nutritious, balanced diet. Think about our perfect plateful. Now, our perfect plateful thinks about every little bit of our plate should be filled with something from these areas so that as our balanced diet for the day, okay? That doesn't mean you at every single meal you need your plate to look like this. It means throughout the day you need to have a balanced diet. So you're having some of the vegetables with your main meal. Yeah, maybe having some meat, fish, eggs, or nuts. Or if you're a vegetarian, you're having the dairy products that that you'll get that you can have to really fill you up. Maybe. Now, your task. You're going to create your own healthy meal for an astronaut. And what I want you to imagine is he or she has just returned from their ISS mission and they've been away for so long. They're looking forward to a really nutritious and amazing meal. Now, it needs to be nutritious, a balanced diet, and look really tasty. I'm not going to eat something that doesn't look tasty. Now, you need to explain to me why you chose these foods. And this is really important. This is a task, something similar to what you've done in reception. Now, I'm not expecting some reception work when we're in year 2. So the way that we're going to be making this more difficult and more challenging is I need you to be writing out why you've chosen those foods. Why is it important that those foods are on your perfect plate? Because otherwise, it looks like it might be like reception work, and that's not what we're having in our year 2 class. So I want you to think back to your other lesson of where we tried the food, or where I told you about the other space food that might help you create your meal. You've got 2 options. I want you to either draw out like your plate like this and draw on your different types of food, label it just like we did our planets. You did a great job at that, but I can't have something that looks like a strawberry but is actually a potato, because I know everyone's different in art, but I need to make sure that I can actually tell what it is, because I might not know how fantastic your drawing is, but you do. So if you label it to make sure I can see what it is, and then underneath I want you to write the sentences about why you've chosen that food. Your second option is to find actual food that you have in your house, put it on your plate and arrange it, and take a picture, and next to it you can write your sentences about why you've chosen to put that food on your plate. So those are your 2 options. I'm going to show you what a good one looks like. So here I've drawn my plate and I put on pictures of 3 different types of food. I'm not going to do more than 3 because I don't want to give you all the ideas. I'm just showing you some examples. So I've written out, I've chosen potatoes here because it will give the astronaut lots of energy. I've chosen steamed vegetables because it will give the astronaut nutrients and vitamins. And I've chosen cheesecake because it will give the astronaut the fats they need, and they won't have had anything like this since they left Earth. I've really pushed myself in that last sentence. I've made it much bigger and expanded it out more. Now, one of the things that might help you with this, and you might think, oh, I don't know why I'd choose potatoes, or I don't know why I'd choose my broccoli or something like that. Well, you just need to think back to the slide right at the beginning when we went all the way through and we looked to here. And if you're not sure why you've chosen potatoes, you need to use this slide and pause the screen to understand why we have these foods. So I'm going to see yellow, I'm going to find yellow, and I might write potatoes down or draw potatoes, and I'm going to say, why do I choose potatoes? Well, these give me energy. They're going to give the astronaut the energy he needs or she needs. So that's the sentence that you need to write out. Now, if you're not using this to help you, your sentences are not going to be as good as I'd like them to be. So this needs to be used to understand why we have each different type of food. So going back to the last slide, you pause the video here on this one to give you an example of what to do, and then this is a task explained again. You can pause the video there. I look forward to seeing everyone's work and everyone's creative plates. Thank you very much for coming along to this lesson. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, Da Vinci.